Hey, well, welcome to the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe Council meeting. It's Monday, November the 3rd at 7 p.m. and everybody is here and accounted for around the horseshoe. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Okay, seeing none then. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, then we have a recommendation that the agenda for November 3rd, 2025 meeting of council be approved. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor? And that's carried. You've had a chance to read the minutes of the October 8th special meeting of council. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, then we have a recommendation that the minutes of the Adelaide Metcalfe special meeting of council held on October the 8th, 2025 be adopted as printed. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Kingma. All in favor, and that's carried. Next are the minutes from the October 20th meeting of council. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Seeing none, then we have a recommendation that the minutes of the Adelaide Metcalfe meeting of council held on October 20th, 25 be adopted as printed. Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor Campbell. All in favor, and that's carried. And lastly, we have the October 27th, 2025 special meeting of council minutes. Are there any errors or omissions in theirs? Seeing none, then we have a recommendation that the minutes of Adelaide Metcalfe special meeting of council held on October 27th, 2025 be adopted as printed. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor, and that's carried. Okay, is there anything, item 6, the consent agenda, is there anything on that agenda you would like removed for discussion? Okay, seeing none, then we have a recommendation that items 6A through 60 listed under the heading of consent agenda for November 3rd, 2025 be adopted as recommended. Moved by Councillor Kingma, seconded by Councillor Campbell. All in favor? Carried. Next up, we have a lot of resolutions under correspondence. The first one is a request to support a resolution from Halton Region Correspondence, public safety requirement to protect our communities. Councillor Kingma? Okay.
Bail reform is an urgent matter. We're releasing violent offenders into the community. And if we are concerned about victims of crime, we should have bail reform taken seriously.
Okay, thank you. So you would like to move that? Okay, there it's a mover. Could I have a seconder? Moved by Councillor Brody. All in favor? And that's carried. Next up is a request from the municipality of Wawa, requesting to support for a resolution regarding accessible and effective alcohol container return system in Ontario. Next up is a request from the municipality of Bluewater, a resolution regarding to keeping the climate change as a foremost national priority. A resolution request from the town of Bradford West Gwillimbury regarding removing HST GST for new home to support housing affordability. Next up is 7E, a request from the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, requesting support of a resolution regarding the code of conduct to prevent human trafficking. From the town of Plimpton, Wyoming, a request to support a resolution regarding Conservation Authority fee freeze. Next up, also from the town of Plimpton, Wyoming, a request to support an objection to updated hearing guidelines at St. Clair Region Conservation Authority. Councillor McKinnon.
If I might just address the situation. a new policy came before the Conservation Authority. And it was in regards to when we're sitting on the Conservation Board, we're sitting with our conservation hat on. And if there's a conflict between ratepayers and the Conservation Board, this is where the apprehension of bias comes in. And in order to appear that we're giving fairness in the hearing, they're saying that I can't sit if Mayor Sue was complaining against a policy. So that's not saying that I can't sit, it's just saying that I would have an apprehension of a bias. So I'm not in favor of the motion.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Whoops, next up is 7H, a request from the town of Whitby in reference to blue box collection and impact to small businesses. From the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, a request to support a resolution regarding the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, also known as OSIF. Councillor Kingma.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Johnny, if you don't mind. This OSIF beyond 2026, is there any indication or rumblings about what our future holds on that?
Through the mayor to Councillor Kingma. I'm not aware of that. It is a federal or provincial funding that is announced annually. It's not a known funding source like CCBF, the Canada Community Building Fund. But to answer your question, I'm not sure.
Follow up, Councillor Kingma.
I think supporting this is pretty reasonable. I think we need to extend this program out into the future for budgeting purposes.
Okay, so would you be prepared to make that a motion? Okay, is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Campbell. All in favor? I think we're all on the same page on that one. That's good. Okay, and the last one up is a request from the township of McGarry regarding aerial spraying of glyphosate herbicides. Councillor Kingma.
I'm wondering if that works. Just a general question. I mean, they're doing it. Does Brody know?
Well, we do have a spraying expert here, so I'll maybe defer to him.
I read that, but I wondered they must have to have a special permit because you're not allowed to spray that aerial here, period. So I don't even know if that's, to be honest, totally right. Like, unless there's special permits for that application, and I don't know. But around here, you cannot. So I don't really know that answer.
Okay, Councillor
They're
Kingma.
just trying to control undergrowth, right? I think that was the purpose of it.
Probably.
Yeah, that would leave a lot of dry material. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not an issue in our municipality, thankfully, so, okay, so, it doesn't sound like that one's gonna go anywhere. We have a recommendation then that council receive and file correspondence items 7B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and J. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Kingma, all in favor, and that's carried. Next up on our agenda are the staff reports, and the first one is in reference to Crathy Hall regarding the public notice and land disposition, and I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to our CAO, Morgan Calvert.
Through the mayor to council, some history and kind of next steps. In around 1922, more than 100 years ago, the township was transferred a property we know today as Crathy Hall. At that time, the agreement was essentially so long as the township uses the property and its buildings for the purpose of a community hall, that the property would remain in the township's possession. Given that the township really hasn't been using it as a community hall and no longer requires the property for the use of a community hall, it's really time to dispose of the property. Per the deed of the lands, there is some direction and an agreement in there that the township will seek legal heirs to return the property back to those that are alive today. Council directed me or staff in September 18th of 2023 to work with a law firm to try to track down the legal heirs. We found probably most of them, but we're not certain that we found all legal heirs of the property. So really what we're trying to do here is to provide public notice whereby council confirms that there is no more need or use of the property as it relates to a community hall, to provide notice and then to seek disposition of the lands. If legal heirs come forward to claim the property, we would, of course, working with council and those individuals, work to confirm what that looks like. We'll bring it back to council and then define the terms of its disposition back to those legal heirs. So, of course, we're open to working with individuals. At this time, essentially just looking for council's direction to confirm that we're no longer using the property as a community hall and to provide public notice. And then, of course, to declare the lands surplus to the needs of the township so that we can move forward. Happy to take any questions from council at this time. Otherwise, I kindly ask council to consider the recommendation in the staff report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the CAO? Okay, we've been talking about this for a while, so therefore we have a recommendation that council confirm as of November 3rd, 2025, and give notice to the public and any legal heirs at Crathie Hall at 3533 Crathie Drive, including the lands and buildings located in the township of Adelaide Metcalfe, is no longer being used as a community hall, and that council declares the subject land surplus to the needs of the township to be disposed of following the township sale and other disposition of land bylaw. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor? And that's carried. Next up is the responsible use of artificial intelligence policy, and I'll turn this over again to our CAO, Morgan Calvert.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, and through you to council. In 2024, the province introduced Bill 194, which aims to enhance digital security and public trust in the use of artificial intelligence. This bill requires various public institutions defined within various acts. For us, it's MFIPA, or also known as the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, to formulate an artificial intelligence policy. At this time, there are no regulations in place to guide the policy development, so we're really getting ahead of the regulations on this one, but it aligns with things like best practices, what we know of artificial intelligence today. And we also looked at the federal government released a voluntary code of conduct for the responsible development and management of AI systems. This policy is designed in a way to encourage the adoption of artificial intelligence within the township. This really allows us to build organizational capacity and capabilities within the township. It also hopefully enhances public service delivery by making the township administration a little bit more efficient and effective. And hopefully one day we can provide some public-facing AI-enabled systems for things like information requests, freedom of information, and essentially we have some customer service reps here that often answer questions of the public, whether through phone or at the front desk or email. It'll allow them to get the information necessary to answer those questions at a much faster pace. Of course, human intervention is important. So anything that we build here will be, a trust but verify type of process where if AI is providing a response, it's also going to cite the document and where it's found that information, just so we have that level of human oversight. Because at the end of the day, we still own the answers that we give council and the public. So this policy is important for council to lay the governance framework for staff to use when considering the adoption of AI. And of course, the other policy that we have that's very important for the use and appropriate disclosure of information is the township's privacy policy. I think we call it the protection and privacy and confidentiality of information. So in that policy, anytime we are creating a program, reviewing existing programs, or redeveloping existing programs, we have to consider the information that we use when inputting into those systems or services. So a privacy impact assessment would be required when we're looking at the various types of information that we're employing within these AI systems. So essentially, protect privacy, personal information, make sure we're not using, confidential information, proprietary information of the township, that kind of stuff, because we just simply don't know where it's going and how we can contain it. So just don't use it. There are a number of use cases where we could benefit from the adoption of artificial intelligence. I think about an equipment operator driving down the road with their snowplow down. They accidentally hit a mailbox. We've seen folks pull over to assess the potential damage, when in many cases you should just keep going so you can meet your minimum maintenance standards. Call it into dispatch so that we're aware. We can reach out to the landowner and acknowledge that we've done something that we will resolve in a timely manner. Sometimes we have to look through standard operating procedure books to do those things. It would be a quick lookup on your phone. If the supervisor is unable to answer the phone at that time, it gets escalated to the public works manager. If the public works manager is unavailable, then it gets escalated to me, where we could just simply have a system that outlines that standard operating procedure within the hands of the equipment operator. So there's a lot of efficiencies to be gained when we're looking up information that's based on the context of Adelaide Metcalfe and our bylaws, our processes, our procedures. The other thing I do want to note is we did submit to the Ontario Trillium Foundation a grant application, roughly $95,000 and change. Johnny might give me the exact number, where we could implement an AI-based system to do exactly what I'm talking about. Information lookups, support freedom of information requests, ensure standard operating procedures are at your fingertips, that kind of stuff. So we're hoping to be successful in that grant application because that would fundamentally support capacity building and capability building within the organization. To get there, we need to have an artificial intelligence policy so that we can lay the foundation to do these things. So in saying all that, happy to answer any questions or take questions from council. Otherwise, I kindly ask council to adopt the policy as presented.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Morgan? Well, I think we have to be a progressive municipality and you have to look for efficiencies in a lot of areas, so. Oh, sorry, Councillor King, I didn't see your hand.
Thank you. Through the mayor to either Mike or Morgan. What will the website registry look like?
Real quick, we have to frame it out. Essentially, it'll be a web page that identifies the tool that we're using and for its purpose, and how folks can work with the township to better understand if decisions are being made leveraging AI, or what that AI system is using. So today would be staff reports, AI, and this is what's being used and this is how it's being reviewed for its purpose.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, then we have a recommendation that council approve the responsible use of artificial intelligence policy. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor, and that's carried. Okay, next report up is 8C, the site alteration bylaw, and I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to our legislative clerk, Michael Barnier.
Thank you. Through the mayor to members of council. You have a site alteration bylaw draft copy attached to the report for your review. So currently, we do not have a site alteration bylaw. And the bylaw is to provide a clear framework for managing site alteration and fill activities. So the placement of dump of fill, removal of topsoil, or changes to land grades. This is not a new layer of regulation for farmers or regular residential maintenance. It's a tool to address non-agricultural activities that could impact drainage, water quality, or municipal infrastructure. I want to stress that it explicitly excludes normal agricultural practices, activities like plowing, cultivating, improving soil productivity, sod farming, greenhouse operations, and drainage improvements. Anything under the normal farm practices remains and not subject to this legislation or this bylaw. Other routine or small scale activities are accept. You'll notice that properties under an acre, residential properties under an acre are not subject to this unless it's massive upgrade of land or altering the grade. And that's one of the problems of the tools that we have in place now, because we've encountered this a couple times where we didn't have an enforcement mechanism to try to get it back. There was no ability for staff to respond. And construction under an already valid building permit or conservation permit is also exempt. So this means the bylaw doesn't apply to most day-to-day property maintenance or agricultural operations. It's targeted for larger unregulated alteration projects that have the potential to cause harm. So the bylaw is intended to be used sparingly and strategically. And you see it even in the enforcement section, it's not a fine, it's a work towards compliance. We hold security to go in and fix if we have to, and then provincial offenses in front of a court with some minimum fines. So we just think of it as another tool in the toolbox. It allows the township to respond when needed, ensures fairness and accountability for those who undertake significant land alteration without oversight. In normal practices, again, applicants for development do go through a site plan agreement. And once that site plan agreement is adopted, they will not be subject to this permitting system. So it's really to catch those that are not complying on large scale projects and those that are altering site and draining other people or, flooding other people's properties. The goal is compliance, not punishment. Enforcement would typically start with education and voluntary compliance before any formal orders are considered. And the draft bylaw was developed with the county's legal counsel to ensure compliance with all relevant legislation, including the Municipal Act, Planning Act, Conservation Act, and OREG 406-19. And there are some suggested fees. We'll be bringing a fee bylaw. We will add these in. Kind of took an average of municipalities, especially smaller ones that have it. And so the suggested fee is $500 for standard and $1,000 for complex with refundable security deposits. So you will see that those charges through the bylaw. It's best to manage fees through the fee bylaw other than other bylaws. So we can change and review in a year, and we'll see if we're getting full cost recovery. So it's unknown at this point what that looks like, but it seems to be the average for municipalities. So I'm not asking for adoption tonight, but if there's any feedback in the next little while, we'll add it in and bring the final to a subsequent meeting of council. But I'd be happy to answer any questions on the bylaw itself.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any questions? Councillor Kingma.
Thank you. Through the mayor to Mike, I do have a few potential additions and changes. Should I indulge that or just wait?
No, we're in a public forum. You can speak to those what you would like, and we can definitely incorporate the feedback, and I will consult with the county legal on any feedback received. So.
We'll indulge. Go ahead.
I'll limit myself. Don't worry. Yeah, section 2.1 under purpose and intent. One purpose, one thing that the township should be interested in is the haul routes for some of this stuff. If there's a potential need for the public works to suggest a route that does minimal damage to our roads, I would like us to weigh in on that potentially. We've done it before with other projects, so.
So would that extend to the county roads that are within our municipality too, asking the county to sign off as well?
Well, we can stick with our authority for now, but I think the county might take an interest in adding that to the purpose and intent section. And also just, section 4.3D. I think, there's a reference there, an officer, bylaw officer can, work with a person possessing special or expert knowledge. So we're talking about peer review.
Potentially, most likely through our consulting engineer, Street, and so
Okay.
it's the review.
Can we explicitly call it third-party peer review? And it sort of does say that in a way, but, and then have a definition of peer review in the definition section. And one quick question, if it's okay.
Excuse me, just
Go
for
ahead.
clarity. So that peer review, then would there be an additional cost to that and who would bear that cost? And that should be mentioned and covered in that section as well, then I would think.
And just finally, if I may, if there's a property removing or adding an enormous amount of soil, should we post a public notice to everyone within 120 meters? Kind of mimic what we do with changes to zoning and just alert the immediate neighbors to a major alteration.
I can look into, I know there's no notice requirements under the act for sure, but we can look into that and what that would consist and look like in the bylaw. I understand what you're trying to achieve there.
Because 5.6 does cover off the various issues that they're not allowed to violate. So there would have to be some sort of monitoring there, I would assume. Okay, is there anything further? Councilor Brody?
Through the mayor to Morgan or Mike, I'm not sure, but you get reading this, like any placing or dumping of fill, any farm agricultural big building that has to take out a pile of topsoil and a pile of dirt and bring some in, is this just another charge to those projects over and above everything else they already have to pay?
No, we already spoke to the agricultural is exempted in that case.
Okay, so
And if it's
that's,
a massive operation, normally the planning, they will put them through to site plan on a large one.
they already have
So,
that in there then.
Yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't
Yeah.
doubled up. And then the other question is, I see a lot of, there's been some projects where guys have been in for weeks with dozers and on some farmland, altering grades and probably don't have too many permits. So is that the whole idea of this then?
Dory, again, it's not to affect any agricultural operations.
But there is some agriculture operations pushing the envelope
We
very
can
hard on that.
definitely on a case by case basis, take a
Okay.
look at what's going on in that regard.
So would you put that language in there then? Agriculture on a case by case?
I can look into the wording, but I think it's mostly covered through it now, but
Okay, that's a takeaway then, because right now we're just tonight wanting to receive before we get the final version and we're just providing some input. So, Morgan?
Yeah, just to key on to Councilor Brody's comments and what Mike's saying is we'll take that scenario. back, we'll find the language in the bylaw and then report back to you about how the bylaw may or may not apply to that scenario.
Yeah, no, that's all good dialogue though. I appreciate that. So good. Okay, is there anything further? And having said that, if you go home tonight and wake up at 2 a.m. and something, things, write it down on the napkin beside your bed and give Mike an email in the morning. Or at 2 a.m. He won't answer it, but that's okay. All right, we have a recommendation then the council receive the site alteration bylaw and draft site alteration bylaw. And that staff be directed to bring forward a final version of the site alteration bylaw at a subsequent meeting of council incorporating any feedback received from tonight and also any in the next few days. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Kingma. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, next up is the staff report regarding the school fill landfill, and it's an update on the capacity. And our public works manager is off this week, so I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to our CAO, Morgan Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you to council, just to be sarcastic for a moment, but Coulter really wanted to be here to deliver you folks this information. He was,
Always the
however.
case when it's bad news,
Yeah,
yeah.
he always gives me the bad news bears, so you know, I'm here to bring this one forward, but I'll do my best to do the report some justice. Coulter did a very good job working with the consulting firm to put this together. And if there's any questions that I just simply can't answer, I'll make sure to bring back answers to council in the way in which you want to receive them. So as council knows, the township maintains a community landfill off a school road. As mentioned before, the report does a pretty good job highlighting the history and how we got here. However, and unfortunately, the landfill has reached capacity for non-hazardous waste. This means that for the township to remain in compliance with its environmental compliance approval with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, we needed to immediately stop accepting non-hazardous waste. The landfill can still accept things like concrete, tires, brush, scrap metal, among some other things that were identified in the report. We have contacted Twin Creeks Landfill located in Watford, and they have confirmed that residents of the township can bring their non-hazardous waste there. Standard fees will apply. Staff will bring back options to council for consideration as we do need some time to work with the ministry. However, this report is just meant as a heads up. We've identified an issue and we got to bring back some options for council's consideration. Through this report, staff are also proposing a communication strategy just to let folks know, residents know in the township of the change in service level and where they can go to maintain some form of that service. At this time, happy to take any questions from council. Otherwise, I kindly ask council to consider and approve the recommendation in the staff report.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Just for clarity, is there a drop dead date that I missed there? Or
Immediately.
it's immediately,
No longer
okay, because
accepted.
this did come, like, we've known for a week or so, but it did come as a bit of a surprise because that was not what the original plan was, so we have to pivot quite quickly here. Is there any, Councillor Brody?
Here's Sue to Morgan. So I got a few questions. Wofford is close. I mean, I have no problem with shipping our stuff that way. Question one, with a hard date, like, is there any, like, there's people gonna show up for a while with that kind of waste? Can we pilot and truck it out? Like, they take trucks to Watford. I mean, that might be I know that's gonna be a cost, but is that something we might have to look at? Because it's so, like, you're saying now, like, when people show up, are you just gonna say, sorry, you gotta go to Watford, or is that an option? I'm just wondering if that's an option. I know it's a cost, but.
Yeah, so being a bit of a transfer station doesn't meet the requirements of our ECA. But we do have a little bit of room or buffer zone to play with in the event that we have somebody that is just adamant that they're not able to take their non-hazardous waste to another landfill. We haven't covered the cell yet at that point. So, you know, we'll work with individuals, but we got to get this out the door quickly so that we're not working in that scenario very often.
Well, and landfill days, they've switched to just once a month now anyway, haven't they, for November?
So our landfill days, we have 3 days left this year, so November 8th, which will probably capture some of those folks that you're talking about. November 29th and December 13th.
So could
And then
signage
we're
go?
closed, we close for the winter anyways, right? For 3
Well,
months.
no, they're once a month then, so
Still
we
once a
won't
month?
need, yeah, it's still once a month, but we're not going to. So question, would there be signage put up like immediately?
Yeah, we'll be putting up signage.
So that anybody
communications
coming this
text.
Saturday is gonna know, we'll put something on the Facebook page and, yeah, anything else you feel appropriate to
Yeah.
get the message out?
Post it everywhere so that,
Yeah, and maybe perhaps even in the banner as well, or the Age Dispatch, just an idea.
So you'll be working on more alternative solutions at a later date, basically, right?
yeah, so essentially we have to work with the MECP to find out what our options are, what we're capable of doing. I know there's some funding scenarios that we'll have to work with the budget work group and council on. These are expensive endeavors. We were hoping or expecting that we were going to get a couple more years of contributions to the reserve that would deal with this matter. But unfortunately, we're just not there yet. So we're gonna have to get creative.
Cause I'd like to see, like, how much of that do we own? Do we own that? Like, I know the farm that it's on. To me, it looked like there's still lots of room to keep heading west, right? But maybe not. Like, I've never seen what is actually ours or how that works. I don't know.
Yeah, Councilor Brody, those are all good questions and we'll have to work with MECP on those.
Cause there are licensing requirements, right? We're kind of at their mercy. Okay, anything else? I know it's not the news we wanted, but that's our reality. Councillor Kingma.
Just, I'd like to go on the record as saying expansion is the right answer.
Councillor Brody.
Through Sudamore, the only, that comment, I'm not disputing it. One part of my mind is Wofford is right there. It's really not that far for people to take their stuff, but it'll have a lifespan too. Right? Like, does Wofford have 20 years till it's full? I know they're going for permits to go higher and then they probably will. But there will be a lifespan for it too. It will close at some point. Is that 20 years, 25 years? Who knows? So that's something that has to be thought about as well, basically.
Well, I think it's an item for for strategic planning here to look at farther out. It needs to be an item that's added to that. So there is consideration because it does impact the community for sure. So. Okay, anything else? And staff will keep us updated as we move through the process to see what our options are. Because maybe there is room for a little bit of expansion, but we'll wait to see what the MECP says as well. So. Okay, we have a recommendation that council receive the school road landfill capacity update report for information. And further, that council directs staff to provide a report at a subsequent meeting of council, which evaluates the options outlined in the school road landfill capacity update report. Following consultation with the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, also the MECP, and GHD Engineering Services, and includes an assessment of associated costs, regulatory considerations, and recommended next steps. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor, and that's carried. Next up is our closed session. We have a recommendation that council adjourn to closed session at 7:39 PM pursuant to section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, specifically outstanding fee collection. Could I have a mover and a seconder to go into closed? Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Brody. All in favor, and that's carried.